The world this week comes to you from England this time, where India are playing England in a series that promises so much. Quite apart from that, there's cricket happening around the world. There's things happening around the game as usual, and we'll discuss all that this week. But first of all, what were the big things that happened this week? Let's do Hawkeye. To my great joy and satisfaction, India's women won the T20 series against England. It was an interesting one because England are in the midst of a lot of change. They didn't play like England. They bowled badly. They fielded absolutely poorly. And there's a few young players coming in who are not quite there, but this is the story of India. Every time you see India do well, you look at a Smriti, you look at a Harmanpreet, you look at a Deepti, but there was much more this time. Smriti had a fabulous 100. Jemima Rodriguez has found a way around. When Harmanpreet comes in, she shows up the middle. Richa Ghosh is always around. But what about the bowling? I was so happy that Radha Yadav came back in that last game and did well. The find was Sri Charani. I mean, there's left-arm spinners everywhere in the Indian women's game, and to qualify through that, to come and keep picking up wickets consistently is fantastic. I hope she looks at someone like a Deepti Sharma and has hopes to have as long a career as she did. But from my point of view, I've always looked at match winners, and I was so happy to see Shafali Verma come back. Because if she's back, if she's scoring runs, she does two things. She scores them quickly and she takes a lot of pressure off Smriti Mandhana. Apart from that, Amanjot Kaur, Harleen Deol, I absolutely enjoyed following this series. There's a World Cup coming up. There's a T20 World Cup coming up. It augurs really well. And I hope this Indian team is coming together and their ambitions are set high enough to go and win 2 World Cups. And who knows? South Africa won the World Test Championship. RCB won the IPL, didn't they? Here's hoping they go on and achieve big things. Elsewhere in the cricket world, Australia have started the World Test Championship cycle really well. You'd have expected them to when they're playing against the West Indies, who have been in disarray for such a long time. You have to go as far back as 1992-93 to see when the West Indies last held the Sir Frank Worrell Trophy. And to be honest, it doesn't look like they're going to get it back very soon. From time to time, we see players come up, sparkle and go away. I thought someone like Akisi Kati did very well for them, but it's really a question of who's not there rather than who's there. But I saw 2 bright sparks. I talk to my friend Ian Bishop so often about West Indies cricket. Often it's a lament, but Shamar Joseph, I think you should just tell Shamar Joseph every time he's at the top of his mark that he's bowling to Australia. And Jayden Seales is a big name that's going to come out of there. And I just hope he can have the consistency that's required to take them further. But the big story is Starc playing 100 test matches. If you're a fast bowler, it's not easy. There's a handful of fast bowlers across the world who've played 100. He's sitting on 395. He gets to 400. It's a club that only the very hallowed belong to. The likes of Kapil Dev and Sean Pollock and Glenn McGrath and Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad and Courtney Walsh. That kind of club to belong to, and it'll be fantastic for him if he goes and does that. I think that he's an all-format player. I know that apart from the last couple of years, he's not played the IPL, but he's played a starring role in several of their major white ball campaigns as well. So 100 test matches is fantastic. Very well done to Starc. And a couple of little bits of news. I noticed that Prithvi Shaw has moved from Mumbai to Maharashtra. Now, there isn't a person in Indian cricket who doesn't wish that Prithvi Shaw fulfills his extraordinary potential. But there isn't a person in Indian cricket who thinks that the only person who can do that is Prithvi Shaw himself. Can a move help him? Will he be the same person? Will he just find freshness? Will he find that he's in a new place and therefore settles himself? But it's all up to him. This is not as much about moving from Mumbai to Maharashtra, but it's about Prithvi Shaw looking at himself in the mirror and saying, do I want to be the player that I can be? So wish him well as he goes to Maharashtra. Wish Maharashtra well. If he can settle in there, there's nothing like it. I'm just as happy with a move that did not happen. Yashasvi Jaiswal wanted to leave Mumbai. Why on earth would someone like Yashasvi Jaiswal, to whom Mumbai has given everything, want to move out? So I'm very, very happy. I met him just a couple of days ago, and I said, well done. Not just for all the runs that you've scored, but also because I think Mumbai is the right place for you. You've got an emotional attachment. So I hope he's happy and he comes back and scores a lot of runs for Mumbai. So there you are. Those were the things that caught my eye in Hawkeye. Was there anything that I didn't see coming? Here it is in Stumped. I think a lot of people were stumped when Mulder declared at 367 not out. A tired, hapless Zimbabwean attack, runs available wherever you want them. You just pluck the fruit. You're like in an orchard. Take as many as you want. And he declares at 367. So 3 things about that surprised me. One that everyone's talking about, but that Mulder was captain of South Africa, that they had so many players not playing. So good on him that he got that job, but that he got those runs at 3. Now, I saw him play in the World Test Championship, and I wasn't alone in thinking that he didn't belong at number 3. He struggled, but you know what? Sometimes you look at players who struggle and then you get over that struggle and score the runs, and you applaud them because that displays character. So I'll be honest enough to say I didn't expect him to be a number 3. So hopefully he'll go on from strength to strength, but that's not what stumped me. He declared at 367, and he said afterwards that the record must belong to someone like Brian Lara. Maybe just grew up idolizing Lara. Lara is very much a player's player. They love, you ask all the players who play the sport, who do you idolize? And of the names, immediately Brian Lara comes up. So maybe you thought, oops, no, there was a Lara 375. Hayden Stays on 380. Lara got the 400. But he went past one of the greatest, Sir Garfield Sobers, at 365. Yeah, and you could have three runs earlier. But as he said, the thing that hurt him was going past Hashim Amla's 311. Now, should he have declared 367? Should he have gone on to get the 400? Did he say he had enough runs going? So did he declare because they'd already got enough runs? I do not know. What I do know is that he's made a nice little statement about respecting the game and telling people, look, I'm only a Mulder. I'm not a Lara. I cannot hold that. I mean, people will turn around and say, you're only a Mulder, not an Amla either. But at that point, maybe they didn't think they had enough runs. But I'll tell you what, the whole episode, it reminded me of one other one, by the way. Mark Taylor is 334 not out. The great Sir Donald Bradman's made 334. He's got the whole night to think it over. He's asking everybody, what should I do? He gets up the next morning and he declares at 334 not out. I know, I've had the great fortune of knowing Mark Taylor pretty well since then. He would have always done what came first for Australia. He was one of the greatest captains of our time. So, reminded me a bit of that. Good on you, Mulder. And I hope you have a very good career. And I hope you make it at 3, because there are some of us who didn't think you could. And that's what sport is about, just proving people wrong. Our editorial this week is about a peculiar aspect of a ball, a brand of a cricket ball called Dukes. It's owned by an Indian, or a person of Indian origin. I've met him before. He's very proud of the cricket balls he makes. And he says, I could make factory-produced balls, but the hand-stitched balls, SGR hand-stitched too, the hand-stitched balls are what this game is about. And when they were hand-stitched, the seam was always a little wider. When the seam was wider and the quality of leather was outstanding, that ball would do a lot. When Anderson had it, when Broad had it. 2018 recorded some of the highest movement by a cricket ball. And in 2019, when the Ashes were on, England actually requested for the same batch of Dukes balls to be able to catch the Aussies off guard with a ball that does a lot. Because Australia play with the Kookaburra ball back in Australia, it doesn't do much after 25, 30 overs. So they wanted to attack them with a wide seam ball. Now what happens after that? By 2022, the seam has started to become shorter. I don't know if Dukes are trying to compete with Kookaburra. I don't know whether they've been told that we need a ball that allows for more runs to be scored. Also remember, during the COVID era, they were not quite getting the same quality of leather, and that has continued still, and that's why the ball is getting softer. But what is interesting is, let's look at the date, 2022. The big bowlers are starting to move away. In the 2 years before baseball started, the average movement of the seam was 0.8 degrees. It's now down to 0.68 degrees. And my view on that, and this is not an attack or a critique, is that for baseball to survive, the ball cannot do too much because it thrives, baseball does, on hitting balls on a length better than anybody else. And for that to happen, the pitches cannot do too much. And so my view is that the Duke ball actually might have been reduced to allow England to play a certain form of the game. I don't know if they're playing this game because the ball was that way, the horse comes first or the cart comes first, but it's something that's helping England enormously. It is not good for the game. The Duke's ball was very good for the game. I remember coming here in 1990, they had a reader's ball with a smaller seam and the runs were flowing like water through the tap. They were just flowing. Graham Gooch made 333, Shastri made 200, Azharuddin made 200, India made 600 plus runs at the Oval. They were just runs wherever you wanted them. You're starting to see that in this series as well. For a good contest between bat and ball, it was imperative that we had that good old Duke's ball, which was making run-making a little more difficult. So I'm a little disappointed at the fact that the ball is getting soft very quickly and that the seam has gone a little smaller. I hope this is not another stage in the game giving itself up to batters to the detriment of the bowlers. And finally, before we end, a little aftermint. Rock and roll, what happened this week? We're going back 23 years, the NatWest final of 2002 at Lord's on the 13th of July. And it's interesting, my producer sent me this, and when I read the rundown that he had prepared, I was sitting in the very same commentary position that we were in when we were calling the 2002 final. When Tendulkar got out and you thought, oh my God, it's all over at 146 for 5, chasing 325. And then that partnership between Kaif and Yuvraj. The day after, I'm back in that same commentary position to do an interview with Kaif and Yuvraj together. I remember so much about that game. I remember it particularly because it came a year after India had got all those runs at the Eden Gardens. Rahul Dravid, VVS Lakshman, India coming back, winning that fantastic series in Chennai thereafter, doing something that nobody thought was possible. Then coming here, again 300 chase, 325, nobody had chased those many runs at the time. And then for India to come out and do it. Saurav Ganguly was a bit tense, he admits, when he was coming out. Virender Sehwag was singing a song and he was saying, because I know we are going to get these runs, that fantastic opening partnership. And then, of course, Yuvraj and Kaif. I remember being on air at one point when it suddenly dawned on me that this game is not over. And I remember saying at that time, are we on to something here? And then to be around when it happened, it was one of the great moments. Chasing 325 has since lost its allure. It's a bit like climbing Everest. Once someone does it, everyone does it. But that evening, it was a beautiful evening, much like we're getting in London now. Light was beautiful, the game went on till late, and then when India won, it was wonderful. Saurav Ganguly took off his shirt. He says now he's embarrassed by nonsense, Saurav. That became a cult moment. For a lot of people, it was India going to England saying, we can do it on your turf. So remember that very fondly. I hope you enjoyed all that we put together this week on The World This Week. Come back next week. There's always something happening in our game, isn't there? Cheers.
So thank you for watching and do subscribe to this channel.